ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Welcome to drboycetv.com. This is the home for intelligent black people. And one of the most intelligent black people that I know that I like to discuss things with is Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Claud Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. And so, first of all, without further ado, I'd like to ask Dr. Anderson, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm hanging tough as best I can do at my age. So, and I'm glad to be back with you and your listeners and viewers. I think you are one of the best broadcasters out there.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I'll tell you, Dr. Anderson, I am not a journalist. I'm not an interviewer or a broadcaster, none of those things. I like to think of myself as just a concerned citizen, a black man, a scholar, in that sense. And I feel like we got a lot of problems out here. And I think that as men, just as black men in the community, when we see problems, it's our job to go try to fix it. Even if you don't have the ammunition that you need, you still got to go fight. And and so, this whole platform, everything that we do every day, I think it's something that we kind of have to process as a community in terms of just knowing what our job is. Our job as men is to defend the community. And so, before I ask you the first question, Dr. Anderson, I want to say thank you to everybody who just tuned in. I see Terry Cobb and Donovan and everybody else. And I want to ask you guys, if you could, please share this right now. Everybody right now, please share this. If you're on Facebook, please share it. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe button, and notification bell so you'll be notified. If you're on Twitter, please retweet this conversation. Everybody should be hearing from Dr. Anderson, especially at a time like now. And also don't forget that tonight we're all gathering together for Black Movie Night. So use the hashtag Black Movie Night. The URL to register is blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Everybody use the hashtag Black Movie Night. We're going to watch a film called Raising a Black Scholar tonight, directed by Tierra K.J. Williams. And we're going to have a conversation about educating black children, which is where I'm going to start this conversation with you, Dr. Anderson. Now, in a minute, we're going to talk about the economic devastation that's going on right now. But I want to ask you this question. So let me just tell you what we got going on right now, Dr. Anderson. Right now, you got millions of black people that are sitting at home with their kids. And in this whole coronavirus epidemic, a lot of parents are having to educate their kids at home. I believe that this is an opportunity for us to really evaluate and reassess what's happening with black children in the educational system, in terms of their lives being in danger from the way they treat them. They treat them like prison inmates in some of these schools. They don't educate them. The kids are coming out not being able to read, not being able to write, not knowing math. They're not learning black history. They're not learning things like Powernomics principles. They're learning, how to worship white men, basically, through white history. What do you think, Dr. Anderson, in terms of education and in terms of what the system's doing to our kids? What is the educational system doing to black children in your mind?
Something that's very simple. I think they're violating all the mandates that they had on them. That was to treat black folks as exceptional people. See, in education, nobody treats them as they're exceptional students. Everything is done just the opposite. Make black folk appear just normal, or really just simply be just another immigrant, or even lower than that, to be a guest in America. Black kids in this country are viewed and expected and respected based on how they are viewed. And right now, black people in America are viewed as being outside underneath the system. And in the educational system, how those black kids are viewed is determined in a vertical order based on their skin color: white, yellow, brown, black. If you look at all the examinations, you see black folks still on the bottom. Even when you got Hispanics coming into the country by the millions, even they rank over black folk. Because what they do then, they take and mix Hispanic kids with black kids. I said that's the most disrespectful thing you can do, is keep putting black folk in these minority categories and equating them with everybody else. That's the problem. Nobody respects and appreciates it and recognizes blacks as exceptional people. That's your problem. Whether you talk about business, you're going to talk about unemployment, you're going to talk about politics, voting, or go talk about school until this black folk in this country get up and started saying this to everybody in the country. 2020 is a year of a reckoning. This is supposed to be a reckoning for black folk in America. Black folk must stand up starting now and say, this is it. No more. You've done it now to us for 460 years. This is a reckoning. Reckoning means an accounting, holding people responsible. This country right now owes black folk an indebtedness to treat them as exceptional people. That includes the schools and the black kids as exceptional. Quit trying to treat these black kids like you treat every other kid. That's not the issue. If you view them the way you've been viewing black folk all for the last 100 years, that's a disservice to black folk. Black people right now are still suffering a lot of the legacies of slavery, Jim Crow segregation in education. That's why during slavery, every colony, every state had laws that says that it is illegal. It is illegal to teach a black person, a black child, to read and write, how to decipher. That was a standard code, which says, and if we catch you doing it, it'll cost you $100 and 39 lashes with a whip. And if you're black and we catch you doing it, you stand to be lynched. Nobody could. They imposed ignorance on black folk. Imposed it. They imposed for 360 years. Ignorance was imposed on black folk. And they came out in 1860s after the Civil War. They classified you now no longer as slaves, but as second-class citizens. You got a second-class education. Again, you had quasi-ignorance imposed on you. And yet now, after all these years, way up to 1960s, where they now put you on the category of benign neglected, where they said, now let's subject these black folk. First, we impose ignorance on them doing slavery, doing Jim Crow integration. We gave a minimum amount of education, and the poor second-class education. And since the 1960s, we've been benign and elected them by putting them in a category called social integration. What that means is that you bus. They're busing 60 to 75% of all the black kids are being bused out of their neighborhoods. They have dysfunctional schools and being bused into white neighborhoods. The other 25% are being put in special education classes. Now, to answer your question, Dr. Watkins, let me reach up here. These are some of the books I've written. I'm gonna hold this up. You see that? Now,
what book is that? The Governor's Task Force on
what's that on?
Disrupted Youth.
On disrupted students. You see that?
Yeah. Tell me about that. I don't know about that. I have my Powernomics book, but I don't have that one.
I did this in four volumes. The last one being the cost of disrupted students. I call it disrupted student because that's what social integration did. Again, when you tore down those black communities, destroyed those black communities, you destroyed the school system and started busting these black kids. And I found out in these studies, through the governor's office that time, I headed up a commission on checking on what's happening to black kids. And what I found out in these studies, the governor's task force on disrupted students, is that over 280,000 black kids through social integration were being either suspended or totally expelled from schools, period, across the state of Florida. And that means that was a backlash, a pushback to social integration. So I say, quit trying to socially integrate these black kids and treat them as exceptional kids, special kids who've been burdened by over 19 or 20 generations of black folk have been denied an education. They are special. Do not mix them with Hispanics, Arabs, Asians, or poor whites, anybody else. Put them in a special category as was dictated by the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the Civil Rights Laws of 1860s, and put them in a special category where they get special educational circumstances. So what I recommend now is they've never done it. Instead, they keep giving black folk less and less and treating every black kid as if he was just a normal white child. That is wrong. As a matter of fact, down in Tampa, I was speaking to that point once, and one lady said, well, Dr. Anderson, I'm a teacher, and I treat all my kids the same. I said, then you need to be fired. I'm overeducated for the state of Florida. I would fire anybody that say they're gonna treat every child alike. They don't see no difference between a black child and a white child. You are stuck on stupid if you do. Those kids are still bearing the legacies of slavery, Jim Crow, semi-slavery. They're still coming to school with totally different psychological, emotional, economic, financial, and social burdens that the white child does not bear. And everybody knows how that they're the descendants of slaves. They treat them like they're second-class citizens. Now they're third-class citizens since the year 2000. You brought in Hispanics. I could stop right there, but that's the problem. Nobody treats black kids and black people as they were exceptional people. They've been treated different than any other group. What they keep doing is one of the basic laws of insult. They keep trying in this country pretend that somehow that everybody's been treated the same. Everybody's immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants. Black folk are not immigrants. They've never been immigrants. They're not immigrants. And they never been, and everybody brought this country was not treated like blacks were treated, mistreated, maltreated, castrated, lynched, denied, exploited, abused. Don't let blacks doing that. And they want to find one last point that I'm going to let you pick up on, that I say people say, well, Dr. Anderson, that happened from slavery years ago. That's been 100-some years ago. Let me tell you, learning is not only transmitted through circumstance and environment, is also transmitted through culture, and it's transmitted through blood itself. We did some studies up in Michigan State, Michigan Unit, and found out that, for instance, a lot about scientific studies, that learning can be transmuted through the blood. It's like that old saying about the apple don't fall that far from the tree. If you mistreat a group of people for 460 years, and how they see themselves, their self-respect, their dignity, their pride, and how other people see them, they're going to react to that. When a black child now is being bused into white neighborhoods, he knows that how he's being mistreated. He's bearing the scars of slavery, Jim Crow semi-slavery, and that keeps that kid functioning at the lowest level. That's why every national exam said that black children are still on the bottom. Nobody says, hey, those kids need to be put out of that bottom category, put into a special category of exceptionality, and treated as if they were to be recognized, appreciated for being a descendants of slaves and Jim Crow semi-enslaved black folk. Until they start treating black folk, giving their exceptionality and recognition, you're going to keep getting black folks in dysfunctional schools. That's why in Detroit, Michigan, all these major cities, right now, black kids, half the black kids start first grade, can't graduate from high school. 50% of them dropouts, kickouts, expulsion, and kicked out of school for these things I'm showing you about. And out of those who do succeed, out of about the half that do successfully graduate from high school, guess what? They're reading at about a 5th or 6th grade level right now, totally dysfunctional. And they're intellectually illiterate by imposed ignorance.
Wow. Everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Claud Anderson is the author of the books Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, The Black History Reader, and Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. If you just came in, make sure you please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. We're talking about a lot of things, and right now the main topic is education of our children. Dr. Anderson is not just a person with an opinion. He was the head of education over the entire state of Florida. So he's not just a guy that just is throwing a bunch of words around. He knows his system inside out, upside down, and backwards, and he knows his people inside out, upside down, and backwards, and he has the record to prove that. And so if you want to take a look, a lot of you right now, education is a big deal because right now a lot of you have an opportunity, and the opportunity is that you get to actually educate your kids while they are at home with you during this whole coronavirus epidemic. I highly encourage you to at least on some level introduce your children to Powernomics principles. And Dr. Claud Anderson has a great curriculum available at a very low price. The entire library pack is $99 with all of his books plus a DVD that you can get at powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. Somebody please type powernomics.com into the chat. Now, Dr. Anderson, I'm going to show you something real quick, if that's okay with you. You know, it's funny that you're talking about education in terms of what the system does for black kids and does not do for black kids. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I'll tell you a little bit more about it because you and I hadn't had a chance to talk in a few days. Tonight, we're doing something called Black Movie Night. We believe that black people should control a big chunk of the entertainment industry. And we ain't just talking about it, we're doing it. And so we're making movies. And one of the latest movies we made is a film called Raising a Black Scholar. It is directed by Tierra K.J. Williams, and it hits on a lot of the issues that you talk about. In fact, millions of black parents right now are taking their kids out of the school system, just getting them out, educating them at home, doing something else. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a clip of what we're going to watch tonight. And then I'd like for you to just tell me just whatever comes out of your brilliant mind when you see what I'm about to put on screen for you. just share whatever comes to mind first. So I'm gonna share this clip with you real quick. So here we go. Let me make sure the audio's up. All right, here we go.
Be it enacted that any free person who shall teach any slave within the state to read or write
be fined not less than $100 or imprisoned, and if a free person of color shall be fined, imprisoned, or whipped
at the discretion of the court, not exceeding 39 lashes, nor less than 20 lashes.
Be it further enacted that if any slave shall hereafter teach,
they shall be sentenced to receive 39 lashes on his or her bare back.
There are so many issues in the public education system. I don't think we have enough time in this documentary to cover them all.
What about you, sir? Do you think the college students will show up? If I got anything to do with it, they won't show up.
We're white people. We don't want them to go to school with niggas.
Okay, so Dr. Anderson, that was a clip from the beginning of Raising a Black Scholar, and we're going to watch that film tonight, everybody. You can register to watch it for free with us at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Somebody type that in the chat. So Dr. Anderson, you saw kind of the beginning. You saw, the quote in the beginning that you actually referenced, the punishment that you get for teaching slaves to read. And then we saw like that progression of the school system through the decades. And you've seen a lot of things, and you've seen the evolution. What comes to mind when you just see that imagery that was presented at the beginning of that clip?
Right. Well, at the end of that clip, when it talked about how blacks have been progressing through, I guess, since the end of slavery. But what they failed to take, what you should be including in that, is that from after slavery, after they imposed all this ignorance on black folk for 360 years, and black folk had to scheme and duck and dodge to make sure white folks never saw them reading anything or being able to count. But when they got out of slavery, black folk then had one thing that they haven't had very much of since. They had hope from after the end of slavery, saying that now that we're free, we got a chance to learn how to read and write and get a decent education. We're going to learn how to do it. So from 1865, as I said, up to about 1895, in that 10, 30-year period, black people, Dr. Watkins, this is the most important point that should have been in your tape, that black children and black people in general hold the international record of educational achievement. See, it's a perception, to view how blacks view themselves and how others view them. Black folks should be saying we are exceptional, and to this degree, we after 360 years of slavery, and 300 years of imposed ignorance, in a 30-year time period from 1865 to 1895, where we had come out totally ignorant. In 30-year time period, we reduced our illiteracy rate from 95% down to 42%. That means that black folk cut their illiteracy rate in half in 30 years after coming out of slavery. No human beings on earth, not Jews, not Arabs, not Hispanics, not nobody, but whites, can say that after being subjected to slavery for 360 years, that in 30-year time period, they cut their illiteracy rate in half almost by themselves. So that consequently, that by 1955, the second thing that happened, black folk were no longer being recognized for their academic achievement. They hold the longest record of enslavement of human beings on earth. But by 1955, guess what happened? Even though blacks out-achieved whites. The second thing that happens is that blacks have not gotten recognized and compensated. If you, along with economic and educational achievement, should be a constant compensation factor that follows that and adheres to that, which means if you get a decent education, you're supposed to be decently compensated. Black people have never been appropriately compensated for having studied an educational record. So by 1950, as an example, blacks have gone from slavery, a total imposed ignorance, up to now getting college education. But guess what? A black person with a college education in 1950 couldn't make half as much as a white high school dropout, because the compensation does not follow black folks' educational achievement. You tell these black kids got to struggle like hell to set a record for educational achievement on earth, but you've not compensated them for it, because your views about what blacks are entitled to has not followed it, because they didn't allow you to build the industries. They got all kinds of, if you look at the back of the, let's say, go back to the Black Labor White Wealth book, look at the appendix. It shows you all those little laws in all around the country they passed to make sure that black folk never used the education they got after they came out of slavery. After they achieved or made all that educational achievement, they've never been properly compensated. That's why, we know why? Because right now they don't have any businesses. Everyone that gets an education, and he has to come out and go out and look for a job, they're working for whites. That puts them back into the slavery again. In slavery, almost 99% of all black folk are working for whites without compensation. And to the present day time, here we are on all 150 years later, and 68% of all black people in the United States are working at some level of government where whites are over it and responsible for it. They're working at either the federal government, state government, city government, county government, or they're school teaching, but they own and control nothing. They're not being properly compensated. They can't build any wealth working for the government. And out of another, about 26% of them, they're working for white corporations. So they determine what black souls' values are. They got an education, but they're working for McDonald's, Burger King's, Xerox, Campbell Soup. They've never had an economy that would compensate them for getting an education. They're going to school getting master's degrees and they ain't mastered a damn thing. So that's the two things I'm telling you about. One, they hold the international world record for being the longest enslaved people on earth. No other human beings ever been enslaved. Were enslaved for 360 years and now sub-slave for another 150 years. Two, they've never been properly compensated for that. So that black kids going off to school now in white neighborhoods getting an education with what, and following that old social integration BS about, well, a black kid can't achieve unless he's sitting by a white child. Social integration took black folks backwards. It never recognized black folk exceptionality and say, no, they should have their own schools, their own communities, with their own curriculums designed to correct the legacies and burdens that were imposed on them by slavery. Nobody's ever addressed that. Social integration didn't address that. All they said is, well, what we'll do is that we'll help you all by letting you come into our schools and our neighborhoods. And Dr. Watkins, and to this degree, I'm gonna hold this up. Can you see that?
Yes, I sure can.
What does it say?
Let me see here. Race and America's Soul. No, I see no something racist. I don't see what's on the sign, but I see what's on the top.
Okay, it says racist. So what it's saying here is a day of reckoning. This was put out by a magazine 2 years ago, National Magazine, where white folk are now saying there's a day of reckoning. That they waste a lot of time and money trying to educate black folk and trying to help them, and we're tired of trying to help black folk. And what I'm saying to you, yes, it's a day of reckoning. 2020 is a reckoning for whites. They say at this point in time, we're not going for the okie-doke anymore. You owe us. You owe us recognition, appreciation, and reparations. And necessary, we go back and rebuild our own communities. We don't know what this guy does is put all the blame of black folks' failures, black kids in school, and this came out of a major magazine now, Atlantic Magazine, saying that basically that the reason you all are still on the bottom, the reason you're a permanent underclass, is your fault. We've given you everything that you need, and you haven't taken advantage of it. We put all these money in schools that in the 1960s, on the Great Society program. We put in $6 billion in the school programs to help black folk after the end of segregation. But see, that's a lie. They put $6 billion in there, but guess what? 99% of it went to whites. White people got the jobs. White people got the credit for it. And then as soon as by the 1970s, they set up all these special programs for black folk like Upward Bound, Distant Horizon, Sesame Street. And guess what? They brought in Hispanics because the Hispanics had started a major movement to supplant black folk by the year 2000. And so all those programs converted over, not to help black kids, but to help everybody else except black kids, help minorities and poor folk and people of color. I'm giving you I didn't mean to drag out my response, but right now you're getting BS'd again. This is a year of reckoning. Black folk have to come out and say, no, from this point on, we expect to be recognized, compensated, and put into a special class. If necessary, put us into a protected class. And in terms of education, Dr. Anderson wanted you to go back and rebuild these black communities that you destroyed doing social integration. Rebuild black communities, because we know you don't like black folk. 98% of you are against black folk, freedom, slavery in the 1860s. And now today, 150 years later, 88% of you still hate black folk, and 63 to 64% of all the immigrants don't like black folk. And that's why FBI says 67% of the hate crimes are committed against black people. But you don't do anything about it. Your views have not changed in how you treated black folk from slavery up to now. That's why they're still on the bottom. Education is useless if you don't have a black community and black businesses. And so, you know, you mentioned something about jobs. It's not white folks' responsibility to give black folk jobs. And that's why blacks have this structural unemployment rate going on. That's why they're outside underneath the system. We keep being taught and brainwashed to believe that somehow we got to go get a job that's going to change the wealth balance in this country. It will never happen. And black folk now still looking for white folks to give them jobs. There are no jobs in the black neighborhoods because black folk haven't built any businesses, and whites have done everything they could to make sure they didn't build them. But the worst thing of all is we've done it to ourselves by giving our money away. We got a $1.3 trillion disposable income, annual disposable income. We give it to white businesses. We instead of building our own businesses and keeping our money in our own community, circulating and make it bounce 8 to 12 times, we spend our money in white communities and in these rotating minorities that are coming into our communities, the Arab, Asian, Hispanics, setting up businesses and profiteering off us. So make a long story, I don't even give you a lecture, but that's the problem. Okay. It's perception. Nobody sees black folk what they're supposed to be treated as, exceptional people. And the worst thing you can do is to try to treat unequals as equal. There's nobody in this country equal to black folk. Instead of black folks saying, I want to be equal, no, they just said, I want to be above being equal. I want to be above being equal. I want you to compensate me with what I'm entitled to, and that in terms of resources, not rights. I don't give a damn about rights. Everybody else get gay rights, midget rights, senior citizen rights, veteran rights, and poor people's rights, but you don't ever talk about black folk talk about civil rights. Quit talking about civil rights. Talk about black rights, black's exceptionality, and demand respect from every government, from every politician, from every political party, and say we expect to be treated different from everybody else. We expect to be recompensed for all the things you've done to us, the negative things you've done to us, and given us some chances to be a competitive people, rebuild our own communities, have our own businesses, and buy and support our own people, and have a code of conduct that tells us to love our own people first before we love anybody else.
All right. Everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the author of the books, Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2, and the Black History Reader. His website is powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. While you have your kids at home and you're educating them, I encourage you to expose your children to Powernomics principles. It's very, very important that we understand this. And so, Dr. Anderson, I want to mention something to you. You know, one of the things that we do in the Black Business School, when we first started, and we were trying to figure out, you know, what are our core values? What do we believe in? You know, what is the most important set of values that we have, you know, just as an organization, as a business, as a community? And we came up with what we call the Black Core of 3. And the Black Core of 3 is that we believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. I believe that if you're talking about, you know, something that could amount to a stimulus package for Black people, you know, I'm talking about the Black stimulus package, or real, what I call real reparations, instead of just the fake reparations that white folks are going to give us. I think that the biggest move for Black people, especially right now, given that we're in a tough situation right now where we have our kids at home and we're educating them at home anyway, And also, a lot of us, unfortunately, and I hate saying it, a lot of us going to be out of a job since 10 million people, 10 million Americans in the last 2 weeks have lost their job. In the last 2 weeks, the most in history, the record was 1982, where 650,000 Americans lost their job. We had 10 million. So we're dealing with unprecedented unemployment numbers, numbers that are out of this world that we have never seen before. Given that we're dealing with that, I think that that's also a time for Black people to really think about, what does it take to start a business? Like I think right now, sometimes the best time, the time where successful Black people, many successful Black people, I think, make their best moves when the white man don't want you no more. When the white man rejects you and you can't go lean on him to come and take care of you. That's when I've seen people really rise up and become their best. So I think this is just a great opportunity for Black people to do two key things that'll put us ahead. One, start educating our own damn kids so that we can make sure our kids are learning powernomics before they learn how to worship a white man. They're learning Black history before they're learning white history. They're learning Black economics and wealth building before they start learning all this other nonsense, learning how to be gay and everything else they teach in the public school system. But then two, I think if we start our businesses, we can solve that structural unemployment problem that you're talking about, because we got that 1.3 trillion that comes to our community and we give it all away, and we also give away probably another 2 or 3 trillion a year in our labor. The labor that we give to white businesses, building a white man's company, is a massive loss that probably exceeds the 1.3 trillion that we spend. What are your thoughts on what I just said, Dr. Anderson? What's your take on that?
You're absolutely right on the point. I can't elaborate too much on that because you're right on it. You hit the nail right on the head. But your last point there about jobs, if you don't have your own business, it's your responsibility to produce the jobs for your own people. But to do it, you must have a community to do it. And see, we haven't got not one single community in America for Black folk. All we got are neighborhoods. A neighborhood is absolutely useless. A neighborhood is like having a bucket with a hole in, you keep pouring water into it. It has porous. Anybody can come into it and do what they want to do. But see, everybody else in the country, all these other competing minority groups, they got what we call minority groups. I call them fabricated minorities. They got communities. You go across America and you get Chinese communities, Mexican communities. You got Hispanic, Arabs, Asian. Everybody got a community. And whites got communities all over America. Get in your car right now and drive 20 miles outside of Chicago, 30 miles outside of Chicago. You'll find all kind of white communities, but they got totally independent communities. Now they have a community instead of a neighborhood. See, a Holiday Inn is a neighborhood. That's where people eat and sleep. That's all a neighborhood can do. It's where people eat and sleep. They don't even know each other. There's no sense of community. There's no union. There's no unity in it. There's no self-help. No self-pride in it. People come in at night in a neighborhood. They can come in and dump garbage every night on the vacant lots. They can come in and dump trash. They can come in and run drugs. They can come in and run stolen materials. They can come in and set up prostitutes. And they can do anything they want in a neighborhood. But see, if you have a community is different. A community must have three things. One, you must have a wholly independent economy, what you're talking about, having businesses. And then two, you must have a code of conduct that tells you how to try to treat each other, who to buy from, who to sell from, who to supply, and who to fight for, and who you look for first for some consolement in a conflict or crisis. And three, you must have Black elected officials that will represent you first and foremost in the country. We don't have one neighborhood in America to do those three things. And so in terms of a code of conduct, that's what you should be fighting. We don't have a code of conduct. That's why every Black will sell everybody else out. We don't have everybody telling Black folk, don't spend your money outside your own neighborhood or your own community, and make your money bounce 8 to 12 times. Right now, Black money only doesn't bounce once. Hispanic money bounces 6 to 7 times. White money base bounces 8 to 12 times in white folks' hands. Arabs and Asian money bounces 12 to 13 times. Jewish money bounces 18 times. Black money doesn't bounce once. In terms of jobs, when I go deal with all these Asian communities, they'll tell me, Dr. Anderson, we don't buy from Black folk. We don't buy from Black folk. We only buy from our own people. You Black folk will buy from any and everybody. And more importantly, we don't hire Black folk. It's not our responsibility in a Chinese restaurant to hire Black folk. You'll never see them. We ain't gonna hire anybody else. We hire our own people first. That's what Black folks should do. Black folks should be building these businesses that you're talking about. That's what your school is about. And learn how to build these businesses and hire their own people. And once they build these businesses, respect the people that you're gonna hire. And then the people that get the jobs, they must respect the customers that are coming in, and treat them with dignity and pride. And say, we're glad to see you in this company, and then and compensate your own people. But see, we don't have a code of conduct for business, and then we don't have any businesses. So consequently, blacks don't do very much of anything in terms of monetizing, keeping their income, and acquiring wealth and wealth power, and building and owning controlled businesses.
Well, Dr. Anderson, I'm gonna throw something at you too that I processed, and I think one of the biggest challenges that the Black community has, among others, is a lot of things we got to fix. Is that I think we have a lack of manhood and understanding what manhood really means. And I'll give you an example. I knew a guy who asked me, he said, why is it that Black women are doing so much better in corporate America, than Black men? It's because, is it because they're getting more education? They're just better workers. They work harder, things like that. And I said, well, we know Black women work hard. We know Black women have a lot of education. They're the most educated group of people in America. And they deserve everything that they get. I said, but one thing you must understand that you obviously don't understand is that there's a natural competitiveness among men. Back when, and you could speak on this, but back when, when they would lynch Black men, whether because it was because they owned a business or because they looked at a white woman or whatever, that was a man against a man. That was a group of men who felt threatened by the presence of a Black man. In my perception, it was, we don't want that big Negro touching our women, right? That's what that was, right? So here's my point. Here's what I'm getting at with that, right? Because men have a natural competition, if me and my woman go apply for the same job, she's far more likely to get the job than I am, even if we got the same credentials, even if we got the same work ethic, the same skill, because a heterosexual man is gonna want a woman, he's gonna want to let your woman in, but he does not want you in because you represent competition. And so that's why I find it, when you look at the studies, when you look at who does well in white corporate America, it's typically either women or gay men. Because you got a lot of the white guys that they like to have sex with the men. So they, either way, it comes down to, what that man wants to have next to him when he's thinking like a man, right? Now, and the person who gets rejected the most is heterosexual, masculine Black males, right? Because you're seen as a threat, you're seen as competition, and all throughout the animal kingdom, that competition principle exists. And now, why did I bring that story up? Well, because what I didn't explain to this man was, I said, look, brother, look, you are a heterosexual, masculine Black male. You're 6 feet tall. Women are going to be attracted to you, white women, Black women, all kinds of women. I said, and you're intelligent. I said, in my opinion, you're going to be seen by a lot of these people as a threat, as competition. They're not going to want to elevate you. And so he said, well, how do I get opportunities? How come I get excluded from opportunities? I said, well, because at the end of the day, I don't think it's that the white man feels it's his job to take care of you. It's not a man's job to take care of another man most of the time. It's just not. Even as a Black man, if somebody said to me, Boyce, you need to go find the men in the Asian community and make sure all the Asian men have jobs, I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in that. Right? And I think that we as Black men have to understand that for some of us, just by nature of manhood, we've got to know how to create our own path to success. We have to learn how to create our own opportunities. We must learn how to create our own jobs. And our little Black boys are not getting that. Black boys are being raised to think that it's going to be a white man's job, that the only way you can be successful, the best path to success, is that if you go to school and you work hard and you behave, a white man is eventually going to take care of you and take care of your family. And I don't think that works. I just don't think that math adds up. What do you think, Dr. Anderson?
You're hitting the nails right on the head. The biggest thing is that white racism is a competitive relationship between Black men and white men. That's all the nature of racism. Because people confuse racism being something that implies to women and to gays. It's only competition as it started out originally between the white man and the Black man. That's where racism came to. It was a race to exploit, to misuse, and enslave Black men. That's why up until 1808, and that 87% of all the slaves being shipped around the world coming to America were black men. They weren't enslaving no damn black women. They didn't need black women. They didn't need them because they wanted to get the biggest, strongest slave they can get up until 1808. The laws outlawed the international slave trade. Couldn't bring slaves into the country anymore. At that point, that's when the emphasis shifted to black women. Because at that point in time, white men could not get any new slaves, and they couldn't produce these. So we got to produce something homegrown then. Let's use black women. They started importing black women to use her bodies because she carried the eggs for producing another in future generations of blacks. And without paying for it, they got it free. So they used black women that way. And that's why every white man, by the time he got to be 13 or 14, he had a bar mitzvah, which means he had to have sex with at least with a black woman by the time he got to be 13 or 14. That was that whole concept of everybody could have access to the black woman. And the black man wanted it. And I just do this little thing like this. I know you can't see it. You can't see it too well on there. But what I do is like steps. Top step, coming up one step, come down another step, another step. Top step up there is the white woman. The white woman was the pinnacle on the top step. And the white man put her up there to protect her, make sure she was safe, and so that no black man could get to her. The black man was put down on the lower step, down at the bottom, so that he couldn't get to the white woman on the top step. Then the black man put black woman and any other woman on the same step in the center with him, so he can have access to any woman anytime he wanted to, period. But if a black man on the lower step got caught dealing with a white woman up at the top step, that was a death sentence. That's why in the 20-year period between 1880 and 1890, in 1900 rather, they lynched 2,800 black men in America for having some relationship with a white woman, either touching her, whistling at her, writing love letters to her, being at home when a white man was not there, or disrespecting her, touching her. That's what the riots out in Greenville, Oklahoma, Tulsa riot, with a black boy falling on an elevator. As he fell, he touched and brushed against a white woman. They messed around and killed over 600 black folk, then brushing against her. That was what it's all about. White women were put into a special class, a protected class. And white women have been competing also with the black man. That's why every time you look around trying to do something for black people, I tell you, say black folk are exceptional, white women immediately come out with some gender issue. The YouTube, these movements, Me Too movements, because she always wants to be equal to the black man, to the white man, really. She feels lonely up at the top. She wants to be down here on the bottom. But the white man wants to have access to all the women and put her into a protected class. And so white women even went fight when blacks were talking about coming out of slavery in the 1860s. They went and filed a lawsuit in the Supreme Court against black people coming out of slavery and getting benefits, getting the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment. White women always oppose that. Because you see, what people forget about is that white women and gender issues, white women co-owned, co-controlled, co-influenced, and inherited 100% of everything the white man had. She slept in the same bed with him, the same house, cooked the food, raised the kids. If we got a glass ceiling. Hell, you can change that glass ceiling anytime you want to. You're sleeping with him every night. That's who's got the power. And the power's in the white community, which is 99% of it is in there. You know, white women can get anything they want anytime they want them. Right now, 47% of all the damn jobs, professional jobs in the country, are held down by women. 51% of the population, they dominated. 67% of all the damn college degrees. They own two of the biggest mortgage companies and banks in the entire country. But see, white women always got what they want, but they also, the white man would let the black woman have something because he was not threatened by her. And his rule is a very simple rule. He says, if I can get rid of that black man, if I can tie him down, exploit him, misuse him, castrate him, and lynch him, and subordinate him, then I got access on that second level to the black woman and her children. You get a black woman any job you want. You can make her the next vice president of the United States. Doesn't make any difference because that's no threat to a black woman is no threat to the white man. It's the black man. They want to get rid of that big burly black man. Keep him in. That's why they want to feminize him as much as possible, make him effeminate, make him gay. They say we can't castrate and lynch him and make him neutered. mentally, we'll neuter him in person by promoting homosexuality and transsexualism against them to neutralize it. That's why every magazine will have a story that have a black man dressed up in dresses and uniforms, new kind of uniforms that shows mixed race, mixed genders. Do anything to degrade that the black man to keep him from being a man. And so the racism is a competitive relationship between the white man and the black man. Nobody else, no Arab, no Asian, no Hispanic, they're not involved in it. They can't be a subject to racism. It's between blacks and whites.
Mm. You know, I'll tell you what, Dr. Anderson, what that made me think about is there's a lady by the name of Tarana Burke. You guys give me a yes or no if you know the name Tarana Burke. I'm gonna try to pull up on the screen. Give me a yes or no if you are familiar with who Tarana Burke is. She's real interesting. She is the head of the Me Too movement, and I'll pull a picture up on the screen. And here's what's fascinating. So that's Tarana Burke right there, and she looks a lot like KRS-One, the rapper, just by happenstance. I don't know if they related or what, but there she is. But anyway, one of the interesting things, Vicky Dillard on Fly Newbie and Queen TV, she brought up at this point that when they asked Tarana Burke started the whole Me Too movement, and a lot of people felt that it was racist, that it was really going after a lot of black men and really putting that stuff ahead of all the white men, kind of ignoring what the white men were doing and vilifying, black men, the Kobe Bryants and stuff like that. And they asked her about it, and she said, well, it's not my job to go after white men. Like, it's not my job. But so what was interesting about that, though, and a lot of black people got upset about that, but what was interesting was, according to Vicky Dillard, right after she said all of that, they started giving her extra awards and everything else. They started celebrating her more. And what that made me think about is this.
Who started giving her the rewards?
I don't know what award she got. I got to go look it up exactly. But I thought this is really on the fly. I thought about it as you were talking. So I'm going to actually dig up details so I can have the specifics on it. But, basically my point on this is to say that, if you look at kind of what happens, particularly in media, and this is one of the reasons why we're so big on trying to learn how to make our own movies and all that, is that, even this week, there's a Madam C.J. Walker story that's up on Netflix now. And a lot of the people that are watching this video right now did not like that movie at all, because one of the many problematic themes of the film was that basically masculine black men were seen as evil. Almost every masculine black man in that movie had something wrong with him that was abusive. He was a liar. He was incompetent. He was a cheater. And what I saw in that film, and you see it in a lot of stuff. You saw it in the Harriet Tubman story, which is also funded by whites.
Color Purple? Was that the Color Purple? Wasn't that the theme of the Color Purple?
There you go. It starts back with the Color Purple. Right. And the way it ties into what you're saying, when you're talking about castrating the black man, it seems like it goes in, there's two levels to that, right? Well, besides actually physically castrating him, one is if he's feminine, gay, or if he's acting like a little boy, like some of these rappers are very, they act like little children. The comedians are always telling jokes. And then you got the gay guys, if you're feminine, you're going to get elevated. They're going to celebrate you. They're going to put you on the cover of magazines. They're going to put you out there on TV. You're going to be the most famous black man in the world. On the flip side of that, at the same time, they want to discourage masculinity. And that's where terms like toxic masculinity come in, where, which is this idea that, that masculinity is just a bad thing. And in the Madam C.J. Walker story, that's what they did. All the black men that were masculine had these toxic aspects to their behavior. They didn't like the black women. They were mean to the black women. They were liars. They were rapists. They were terrible people. And at the same time in this film, another point that you can make on this is that the white man never once that I recall, that I can remember, when they engaged with Madam C.J. Walker, not once did the white man ever treat her in a negative way. In every situation, the white male was presented as the savior to the black woman to help her get away from the toxic behavior of the black male, of the masculine black male. So do you follow what I'm saying? That basically it's like, and this is a consistent theme. This isn't just in this particular show, but what it kind of says to me as a black man, as a masculine black man myself, is that they're telling the black woman, look, your men ain't shit. Your men are garbage. Your men are weak. Your men are losers. Your men are stupid. Your men are abusive. Your men will destroy you. Your men will hold you back. If you really want to be successful, just come over here with us. We'll take care of you. We'll help you do like Meghan Markle, that lady that went and married the white boy over in England, the prince. And all the black, there were millions of black people that celebrated this and thought, oh, that's so romantic. But they don't understand the underlying theme here. This is really male competition happening, where they're basically saying your men are garbage, especially when they're masculine. So come over here and be a part of what we got going on. That's what I'm reading when I see this.
Yeah, well, you're right. But see, that's been true throughout history, and two of the most prominent people in the black race, females like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, they did the same thing here back in the 1840s, for instance. When women found out that black folk, that the abolition was pushing for the abolishment of slavery, white women jumped up and started their whole movement. They thought, we want a right to vote. But see, white women always had the right to vote. They never tell you that. One of the biggest bullshit going on is that, well, we want the right to vote. White women always, they co-own and co-control and influence, inherit everything the white men had. They also had, white women always had a right to vote. But voting in those days the clicker was that only property owners could vote. That's why you have to be a property owner to vote, because you had to pay the taxes. And so white women solicited Sojourner Truth to come with her, because as a black woman saying, it's better for you to be with us than to be with those blacks. And that's why she went around the country pushing the gender issue. And they tried to get Harriet Tubman to do the same thing to some degree. And they tried to solicit what's the black guy's name that very prominent back in those days? Frederick Douglass. Yeah, they asked Frederick Douglass, well, why don't you come with Frederick Douglass? I don't get in that kind of stuff. He says, you're competing against the black man when you do that. And the white women then went to the Supreme Court and filed a lawsuit to make sure they said nothing should go to the black man and before it comes to the white woman, and the women first. As a matter of fact, in the Black Labor White Wealth book, there's a whole section on that, what you're talking about. They went to court. The Supreme Court says, no, you women can't do that. This is the 13th and 14th Amendment going to be for black folk. You got all the rights you need already. You're in a protected class as white women. You're on the top of this, you're on the top step. And that top step means that's what this whole thing about women first. Save the women and kids. That's why you kill black men over touching women. White women in a protected class, all women were in there. And black women were sort of hanging on to the edge of that. And because they're not a threat to anybody. And they're always going to hire black women before they hire a black man, and sustain black women before they sustain black men. Because why, in the final analysis, my little comments now is this: because the burden of slavery and the obligation for recompense or for compensating blacks for slavery, it rests mainly, it should be resting with the black male. Because from the beginning of slavery, from the 1500s all the way up until the 1860s, the people that were carrying the load of slavery, the labor class, was black men, not black women. And that's when, the only time they started misusing black women, as I say, was after 1808. That's when they couldn't bring any more black men in, or young black children in. They then set up, used South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia for as incubators for impregnating black women to bring about babies. And that's why they started having, and everybody went to bed with her. And they used her as a prostitute for producing babies. And I told you once before, is that they had stud service. A lot of the plantation would have stud. They have at least one black man to stud the black women to make sure that she had babies as often as possible, to produce free labor. He didn't have to buy slaves. You got them free if you can impregnate her. And so the white slave master was going to bed with them as much as he could, and they would have a black stud to go to bed with them when he could. Then when they got tired of that, as I told you once before, then they had a thing called a paper bag, where they have to take young black men, boys. They got to be about 15 or 16. They put black women in the bedroom, and then they put a paper sack over a young black boy's head, so he couldn't see, and put him in the room, and then make him go in there and screw her to get her pregnant. They use him. That's what that whole word about, when you hear that term they call MF, or that word MF, that's where that word MF came from. Mother this and F that. That's where that came from pushing, even pushing black boys, young black boys, by covering their heads and having them screw their own mamas. So I'm telling you, the issue is the black man was always subordinate, and now they're gonna try to make him as weak as possible, because the white man wants is this. In conclusion, the reason they're gonna keep abusing and misusing, exploiting, and subordinating black men is because in their mind, they see the black race as weak. As weak. That's why the civil rights movement did a disservice to black folk in this country by promoting weakness, marching all the time and taking free ass whippings, talking about we shall overcome someday, and that we are non-violent. We hold hands. You can hit us, beat us, sick dogs on us, kill us, and lynch us, but we are all we want to do is be accepted, be accepted by you. That's all we want. And so we don't mind the status. We don't mind being on the lowest level, and then you up above us. As long as you accept us, we'll take that position. That's what social integration did. Social integration, we'll let you come into our society and come into our schools, our neighborhood, and get access to our resources if you're willing to accept a low status with us keeping a high status. And that's why in the social integration process, they included what they call a quota system, saying that anytime more than 5 or 6% of the population in anything is exceeded by black folk, if they exceed 5 or 6% in the neighborhood, we can put our house up for sale. They 5 or 6% come into an organization, white folk will move out of the organization, quit the organization. If more than 5 or 6% of black folk come into a school with white kids, white folks will pull their kids out and relocate them and go to another city. But see, that's a threat. They want black men to be weak. So as long as you're following civil rights instead of black rights, you're signifying weakness. White, you're gonna be exploited, misused, and abused, and the white woman and the black woman get together saying we can get along. It's you black men that are outside the loop.
There you go. You guys heard it. Well, everybody, I'm speaking with Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Anderson is the author of the books Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2, and the Black History Reader. Before I let Dr. Anderson go, I would like to ask you all, if you could, feel free, please take a trip to powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. You got your kids at home. This is a great time for you to do them the favor of changing their life by introducing them to Powernomics principles. So feel free to go to powernomics.com. Now, I just want you all to know, some of you, I saw you had questions and things like that. When Dr. Anderson's talking, I can't take questions because I want everybody to hear from Dr. Anderson. I'll do another session later where we'll do a Q&A type situation or something like that. But I wanted Dr. Anderson to be able to speak. When he speaks, I listen because that's where we get our knowledge. That's where we should learn. These are our teachers. Those public school teachers are not our teachers. Those universities, whatever white university you went to that taught you that George Washington was the greatest man in the world, those are not your teachers. Your teachers are in your community. Can I get an amen? Can you guys agree with me on that? Just give me a yes or B1 in the chat or something. Let me know if you agree with me. Our teachers, black teachers, come from black communities. Black people should be educating black people. Dr. Anderson is one of the most important teachers we have. We need to listen to him. Powernomics.com is the website. Somebody please type powernomics.com in the chat. Also, tonight, Black Movie Night, we're going to show the film Raising a Black Scholar at 8 p.m. Eastern, directed by Tiara K.J. Williams. She's going to join us along with Roosevelt Mitchell III, Amani Walker, and Noma Langham Mushali Moses. It's 8 p.m. tonight. Go to blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Use the hashtag Black Movie Night. We are taking over the movie industry because we believe also not only should black people educate our own children, but we should also control the entertainment and the imagery of our people. So coming out really helps us to do this. So blackmovienight.net, use the hashtag Black Movie Night in your conversation, share it on social media, and it's going to happen tonight. Blackmovienight.net, register for free. Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Right. Thank you, and I appreciate you. And you got all those principles right down pat. I love you for that. And that you're right on tune again. By saying black folks learn how to own and control everything from the bottom to the top. Wherever you dominate in population and in consumer spending patterns, you should dominate in business ownership. And that's why I respect you in your black business school. Own and control businesses. to spend your money with your own people. And like right now in Alabama, just very quickly, blacks call me from Alabama and said, Dr. Anderson, even though we got 3 cities here that are dominated by majority black population, they have no businesses. And I said, we talk about things you tell us about owning, controlling your business. They said, well, we do that, white folk won't like us, and we need them. And I said, now you got 3 cities, Fairfax, I can't think of the other 3 cities there together. Black folk don't have any businesses around there, and whites own all the business and mistreat them, and all the money that comes down from the state and from the federal government goes right into white hands in Alabama. And these black folks are scared to come out, even though they got a few blacks elected to high levels of positions in city councils and mayorships. They still scared, and they said, well, we got plenty of nothing, but nothing is plenty for us. And so somehow you cannot get them to disengage and say, well, if we were to keep our own money and demand that we get our percentage of all the money coming to this state and to this city to build our own business, our communities, we won't have to be taking these free ass whippings. But you can't get them to do it. They're scared, and because white folk got them so intimidated, and those red states on the map, the Confederate states, they still got those black folk intimidated right now. That's how they're gonna be voting. They're gonna vote for whites from North Carolina all the way around the Southern Belt. They call it the Black Belt. They're still scared. They're gonna still vote with the Democratic Party now and put weak people in there with the weakest white man they can find and say, Lordy, Lord, I sure wish you'd look out for us. And then that's why white folks say you're weak, you're beggars and criminals. That's why that's why you're a permanent underclass in our society.
There you go. There you go. Well, ain't no weak black people in this chat today, Dr. Anderson. I'm gonna take that. Give me a yes. If you are weak, say yes in the chat. If you are not weak, say hell no. I want you to type hell no in the chat. If you are strong and you reject weakness. So we rebuke all weakness right now. We're going to be strong and we're going to fight and we're going to get what is ours. So thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate your time. And everybody, Dr. Anderson's website is powernomics.com. Not only are all his books there, but you can also subscribe to his YouTube channel and everything else. So thank you. Please give him a digital thank you and a digital round of applause for joining us. And I appreciate you coming in. And if you feel up to it, sir, I'd love to have you back next week. But it's completely on you. Whenever you want to come back, you just let me know. And the door's wide open.
Well, thank you, buddy. And I'll see you next week. And tell my people, please go out and say, year 2020 is a reckoning. We're going to start holding this white society accountable for what they've done to us. And declare yourselves to be exceptional people. There's nobody else like you. Don't let anybody put you in broad, ambiguous categories like minorities and poor folk and people of color and poor people and multicultural. Stay away from those groups and say you're not earned the right to be equal to black folk. Nobody, no immigrant group has earned the right to be equal to black folk in America. You're the labor class that built the wealth and built the businesses and industries in this country. Tell them that you want to be above that. Put into a protected class of exceptional people and given your benefits that you're entitled to, and don't take anything less from any politician, whether it's a political party. Demand what you need and want. Don't vote for anybody that won't support you and pay you reparations and your recognition and attention that you deserve.
Right on, right on. Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate it. And everybody, have a good day. And don't forget, powernomics.com is Dr. Anderson's website. blackmovienight.net is where we're going to meet tonight. And I hope you guys will come out. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's free of charge. So come on out. So see you guys. Have a great day. And thanks again, Dr. Anderson. I look forward to
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.